So in this recording, we are going to be talking about finding the right software developer. And spoiler alert, we're the right software developers. If you're looking for a software developer, we at Divine Digital, we are your guys. And I hope that through this conversation that we're about to have, that we show that to you. Developers these days are a dime a dozen. And they vary all the way from guys in their grandma's basement who just took a course on coding all the way up to the highly skilled full stack developers that we employ. And man, it's an overwhelming world for most people. Most people that have a tech idea or even have a business that they're looking to digitize, it's overwhelming to consider the idea of creating new technology. There's so many pieces to it, and so many people end up making the wrong decisions as it relates to who to go with, which development agency, which developer, with bringing someone in house. There's these big choices, and we are going to make a total and complete pitch to tell you that we are the guys to do this with you. So before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host here. So I'm Joe Pellegrino, first of all. I'm the CEO of Divine Digital Agency based in Naples, Florida. I've got with us here our Chief Operating Officer, Jordan Pellegrino, who is coincidentally my brother. And we've also got with us our Director of Business Development, David Chisholm, the one and the only. So looking forward to talking with you guys today.
All right.
Yeah, same here.
Also, I am not your brother.
Not remotely my brother. A little too Nordic for me.
Oh, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so we made a pretty big claim there, right? We're the guys to work with. I happen to believe that. 100%. So, like, what does that mean? Like practically, it's not just that we're great guys to work with. Although we are, we have sort of created a little. I wouldn't say it's little. We've created a process over the course of better part of a decade now. And I'll probably touch on for Jordan to go a little bit more into the details, but it's essentially this. Once we connect with a client in a meaningful way and we begin work, we're there in a lot of really practical ways and senses. We're alongside of them, right? We can bring all of those years of experiences, all the projects we have under our belt. We don't keep that close to our chest, right? We kind of take all that experience and knowledge and do our best to gracefully infuse that into concepts.
Yeah. Well, I think really it breaks down, we kind of sort of look at backing up the claim that we're your guys. I think it breaks down to a handful of key points. And I kind of want to go through those key points specifically and just sort of converse over all of them. But really what's unique about Divine Digital, like the very first thing and the sort of the baseline thing, which is incredibly important, albeit not necessarily totally relevant to our actual skill in tech, is that we're a family-owned company. And as a family-owned company, you can expect trust, transparency, and integrity from us. So, Divine Digital started back in 2016, and it was actually a mutual, very close friend of ours, Jared Stressnuder, who launched it back in 2016. And I launched it with him, funny enough, and I'd gone on to do other things myself before coming back around in 2022 and acquiring the company from Jared. And, in doing that, we took, myself, Jordan, and our father, and we became partners in the business, making it for the first time a family-owned company. It's a unique approach that we take to business dealings generally. As far as the transparency and the integrity, I feel like those are buzzwords that are thrown around. But one of the things that Jordan and we joke about is the concept of being enslaved to integrity, where, it's not just that we're always going to do the right thing. We are physically compelled to do the right thing. And it's not the kind of thing where, we just say, oh yeah, we're going to take care of you. It's, man, if you're a client of ours, that is taken very, very seriously within our family. Jordan, you want to talk a little more about that?
Yeah. We take ownership of every concept and every client that comes in, the concept that they bring. We look to exemplify, right, the integrity and character that they're not going to find at these other agencies. We don't look to, we execute on that throughout the process, keeping them in the loop, and really ensuring that they know that we are taking their baby effectively and nurturing it, whether it's a novel concept, whether it's an existing business that needs a platform, right? It was conceptualized by the client, and now we're taking ownership of that as well. Them leading the charge on effectively what their expertise is, and then handing over the baton to us to take it and run with it on what our expertise is, and allowing us both to kind of function mutually and symbiotically to create the best product.
Which I think is so important, especially given, again, just sort of how overwhelming the process can be, right, Dave? I mean, so many people come to us and they're just like, they've got this cool idea, or they've got something that they're trying to accomplish, and they just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because whether they know it or not, and I like to think that greater than 50% of our clients kind of come into this knowing that they're going to need dedication, like personal touch. They're going to need a scenario where there's conversation, right? I always get made fun of because I have a tagline that I use all the time, that our process is conversational, because just like you said, Joe, the folks are coming into this maybe not even knowing how much they need us as far as our process in this environment. I think that unfortunately, a lot of our clients who eventually make it to us after attempting development 1, 2, maybe 3 times, you really only start to learn that when you're halfway through the process, where man, stuff's not starting to, it's not making sense, right? The project's not moving forward. There's more questions being created than answers.
Well, my favorite thing in that situation is when people say, "Yeah, my app's been being worked on for 4 or 5 months. Oh, can we see what you have? Oh, well, I don't have anything yet.
Yeah,
There's nothing. There's no documentation. There's nothing. There's no wire.
Right.
There's nothing. I have a sample screen. Like, what? And you're
Right.
in for how much?
Right. That's a part of a day worth of work here for 4 months of time, and it is sort of concerned. I don't want to spend this whole time like talking about other agencies and how terrible they are. Of course, there's other agencies out there that do great work. But let me solidify this. There is a disproportionate amount of agencies, developers, and we can say this just from our own experience of people coming to us with horror stories of 4 months. Hey, we put recently, right? This is an actual case study, right? Recently, $250,000 in 18 months, and have nothing usable. That makes me sick to my stomach to hear, right?
Yeah.
So again, in our process, like, we side on the giving you too much information. There really isn't a time where any of our clients don't know exactly what's going on. And maybe even to take that further, not only do they know exactly what's going on, what's being built, who's building it, but they have the ability to interact with that, right? Which is huge. And Jordan, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, like that ability for us to not only communicate with our clients like every step of the way, but their ability to interact on basically a real time, basis. Because that's a question we get a lot about pre, and then of course post development. Like, where are you guys at? What is your level of involvement?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, I mean, you said it, Dave, we prioritize assets early on, right? That's what the strategy and prototype process really is all about, right? It lowers the barrier of entry from a cost perspective, and just from a deliverable expectation on the client's end of, hey, we're not going to deliver to you, this full developed platform because we don't even know what we're making, and you don't even know what you're making, right? So it simplifies it and allows us to really stay in that process and kind of marinate it. Specifically, okay, what are we moving forward with? What is this current iteration, right? Because there's a big difference between even the MVP and the initial 1.0 rollout of a concept. So really staying inside of there and figuring out specifically what we're going to be creating, be coding without having to write a line of code, right? And Joe mentioned clients coming to us and saying, right, that I have nothing to show for it in a year, 2 years, even if it's 6 months, right, and I haven't seen anything yet. When again, going back to what I said before, right, we're nurturing this thing, we're taking ownership of it, and we have things to do on our end, right, that we need to make sure that you're in lockstep with us to ensure, right, that we're on the right track. Because, there are other developers out there that will take it and run with the idea and kind of make it their own, right? It's kind of still in there, but then it's kind of Frankenstein upon it. And that's not to say that, right, us or any other developer can't improve upon it, right? Because from a developer standpoint, right, there's different ways of doing things. There's better ways of doing things that could be, iterative, whatever it is, as far as the integration itself. But we want to ensure that at the end of the day, at the end of the S&P, at the end of every iteration of development, it's exactly what the client wants. And like you said, Dave, them having direct feedback and input into that, right? Discussing with Alex, right, on every asset delivery, their feedback being heard and integrated, and then being molded and kind of going through the filter of our expertise of what we've seen is going to work best through the filter of what is common practice and best practice from an integration standpoint, and what's best going to meld with the concept and the technology and making those work together. Us obviously being focused on the tech side of things, the client coming with the concept and specifically what they want to integrate.
It really is just so unique. And I mean, notice for anyone who's listening that we listed the very first reason to work with us, that trust, transparency, and integrity, right? We didn't go right into our skill set, which we're going to get into in half a second here. But that is, and you've probably experienced this as you're out looking for a developer, that is like the primary thing, right? And nobody does it like Divine Digital from a transparency perspective. And that's why, our process works, not because it's the best technology. It is, but that's not why our process works. Our process works because you're actually having the opportunity to flesh out your concept and really build it out before a line of code is ever written. So here's what that means, right? What that means is that not only do you have your eyes on every step of the process, but the risk of things going awry completely is just slashed, right? The risk of, oh no, this isn't what I wanted, gone, right? Because you're establishing all of that at that very, very first step. And just sort of to zoom out for half a second, right? Because I think we've maybe gotten a little bit ahead of ourselves. I want to just outline what that process actually is, right? So if you're looking to develop technology, what you would expect from us is the following process. We effectively have a three-step process, starting with what Jordan referred to as our strategy and prototype. And this is literally from when you have the inception of the idea, or when you're ready to go, you're entering into this process. And the very first piece of that process is digging into what the concept is. We sit around a table, most times virtually these days, but we sit around a table and talk through all of the potential possibilities for your specific concept, right? You're coming to the table with the idea, but at the end of the day, it's up to us to translate that into what is going to function from a technology perspective. And so through that process, we're actually building out the comprehensive scope, which will ultimately be used to write the code, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of like building a house, right? Where you're starting with the architect and getting permitting done to ensure that everything that you want to happen can be done before the builder is actually even, breaking ground and setting the foundation. That's effectively what we're doing. And that's, so that strategy and prototype period starts with, building that comprehensive scope and ends with, you've got the full documentation for exactly what needs to be built. You've got the full lo-fi and hi-fi wireframes. You know exactly what screens are going to be on your app. You know exactly what the app is going to look like, right? Literally, it's there. Like we even give you a working prototype where you can actually click through and show your friends or show potential investors to get funding. It's a really, really great way to get your concept kicked off and started off on the right foot. After that first step, that strategy and prototype, now you're moving into active development. And when we talk about active development, we take everything from an MVP perspective, meaning a minimally viable product, if you're not familiar with that term. And the idea is, okay, what is the lowest cost and effort version of this application that can be created that is going to be most accepted by the market right from the get-go? Because the idea is, you don't want to build too much into your app to the degree that when you actually put it to market, you find out, oh, it needs this, it didn't need that, right? The market isn't taking to these things, right? And so you want to go to market with the minimally viable product, which is going to be better on your pocketbook. And ultimately, it's going to be better in the long run. So, when we're building out those concepts, that's generally the direction we push clients into. That doesn't mean we build small. That just means that we encourage you to not just slap everything you ever dreamed into phase one, right? We want to consider what a phase two can look like, right? And so that active development period where the app is now being coded to that standard. And then the final step is launching and then ultimately maintenance and enhancements, right? At the end of the day, technology is living and breathing. It is not the kind of thing that you're going to build today and then it's just going to exist, right? I mean, think of the home example that I just gave, right? You can't just build a home and then walk away from it, right? You have to maintain it. You have to repair it sometimes. This is what it looks like to own a piece of technology. And if you're considering doing that, it's something you need to consider from the get-go, that there will be maintenance, there will be those things. And that's sort of, I just kind of wanted to give that sort of broad look at our process because I think it is not. I know it is so unique in the industry. It's not something that a lot of agencies and developers are doing because it's not. Well, I think they don't do it because it's not a pipeline to a six-figure contract or a quick pipeline, right?
I think
Yeah,
I think I might have the answer to that, Joe. And if anybody was just listening, they may have said, "Hey, those 5 or 6 things he just mentioned sounds pretty much completely tailored to somebody who's in an entrepreneurial mindset, right? Starting businesses." And that's not an accident that it sounds like that. The spirit in which we created the S&P process was through the lens of entrepreneurs. Joe, you have multiple businesses. Jordan, obviously, startup, and then here. My pedigree is in, startups, tech startups, 1, 2, 3, 4, over and over again, kind of seeing the life cycles of these things. So, essentially at some point we said, what is our wish list? Like, what are the things as somebody creating a business? Because again, these aren't just apps, they're businesses. What are the things they would want to see first? And then take that a step further. How do we equip our clients the best possible way in that strategy and prototyping period? So we do things like, hey, what's your concept? Let's add our, years and years and hundreds of projects worth of experience. That's also a fractional investment at that point. They don't have to jump completely into the deep end. What they're getting is contractual. We basically provide everything you'd need to pitch this, Joe, to investors, interested parties. We've definitely had clients take that prototype, again, even before development, and get interest, pre-sales, all of those things. So, from a technology perspective, man, we have that buttoned down. Like, that process is just polished. But there's also a ton of thought behind that, which is why we call it the strategy and prototyping period. We want to kind of know where our clients are at. And again, we kind of not only bring our experience in technology, but our combined experience in starting and operating businesses into this as well. Because again, we've kind of been in those shoes, right?
And I think there's I think just even in what we're talking about and what we're explaining here illustrates the clear differentiation between just a developer and a team like Divine Digital, where we are not just in a back room coding. We're not just saying, what do you want? Oh, okay, well, we're going to go code it now. Now, you're going to hear that. If you haven't already, you're going to hear that from other agencies. What do you want? Okay, fantastic. Well, here's what we can do. It's going to be $150,000 and we're going to get it done. And then how can they get it done if they haven't truly explored and discovered what it is that's happening?
Yeah.
And, what position are they filling to be able to say, okay, you need to do it one way or another, right? Most developers are going to look at things. What is the easiest and most straightforward way to code it? What is the technical best way? We consider those things, but even more so, we consider what is the best business strategy for you, right? And this applies even if you're not, even if this application doesn't represent a business model. Maybe this is a utility for your business, right? Either way, these are the things that need to be considered. Just the logistical needs of having your own technology it just can't be understated. Excuse me, it can't be overstated.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So just really quick to recover the ground we've kind of gone over so far. We're a family-owned company. You can expect trust, transparency, integrity from us. We have a process that works. And the next thing I want to go through is we have developed, well over 100 apps. And the developers that we employ have been developing for over 20 years. So the breadth of experience that we have on our team from a skill perspective and the experience that we have in handling clients from literally the conception of an idea all the way up to launching a successful application. That is the kind of experience that we have, and that's the kind of experience that we carry forward with us. Jordan, why don't you tell us just about a couple of projects that maybe recently that we either have in development or are putting out that are gearing up for some serious success?
Yeah, I mean, you can start off with Aperon, a client that started way back in 2019. His concept is kind of tailored around school field trips, band trips, specifically, was shut down due to COVID, and has really been picking up since around the 2021, after COVID subsided, and is getting it out there and getting some really good feedback. A really good application that has a React Native mobile application available on iOS and Android, for Aperon Pro, which is for admins, trip leaders, and then Aperon, which is the mobile application for trip participants, and then parents to be a part of the trip and track their students or their participants' location. Also, they have a web content management system where they are able to manage the platform, and a web admin platform that allows the admin to build out their itinerary, build out their participant lists, effectively manage the entirety of the trip, the itinerary, and then the really cool features get kicked off once the app is actually, or I should say, once the trip is actually active, with active location tracking of participants during specific, or I should say specified events, that allows the admin trip leaders to know where their participants are, and even outdrawing a geofence boundary and being notified once they've broken that threshold of the geofence. So some really cool stuff going on with
Really cool features, yeah.
with the Aperon project.
One of the things really cool about Aperon that I wanted to point out, you mentioned that he had started back in 2019. One of the really, really cool things about this client is that he, after sort of his reboot post COVID, he put the app on the market, and let the market tell him what to do next. And I think he found that he over-engineered some things and developed some things into the app that maybe didn't need to be there. Whereas there were big holes in other places that we would have never known until it was actually deployed and betaed out in the field where people are using it. At the end of the day, your users are going to tell you where to take the technology. The root idea, and this is where we kind of come back to the MVP concept. That's how you're going to acquire users. But at the end of the day, your users are going to help you to scale it and to grow it. And so Aperon, he's actually in the middle of a version 2 development, that based on the feedback that he's gotten over the last 18 months. A successful app, it's only going to be more successful because he's listening to his users and creating the technology in that way, which is just a really, really cool thing. And something to keep in mind when you consider like what actually launching technology looks like. It's not the kind of thing where if you build it, people will come, right? It's the kind of thing where there's a lot of effort that goes behind the actual launch process, and ultimately in the usership scalability process. There's a lot to consider there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just one that's obviously been out there for a while, and a good example of a 2.0 as well. We have a few projects right now in the pipeline that we can't fully disclose details on, but some really cool stuff and new technologies that are being used, from the AI machine learning component, even a Sweet Science Boxing, which is a local company here, that actually got our first tvOS Apple TV app under our belt, with a really cool franchising system that they're building for their in-gym experience for their boxing studio. So some really cool technologies that obviously we're client based with the idea. So if they come with the idea, will build it, but some really cool new technologies that we're getting into as well.
Yeah. I'm really excited also about some of the less exciting stuff, but
Yeah.
really useful stuff we have going on, like the logistical management systems. We've got a handful, actually locally here in Naples, of businesses, whether they are distributors or inventory warehouses, whatever they may be, that are building or have built their technology with us to customize their logistical management. Right. What you find is that there's so many systems out there that you can purchase and you can buy. There's so many logistic, inventory management, whatever it may be, so much out there. But for a lot of business owners, none of those technologies are really built for them. They don't fully get what they need out of it. And so they end up spending a lot of money and using a tenth of the software without actually getting what they really want out of it. And so what we're able to do is we're able to say, hey, okay, what do you want it to do? What do you want to happen specifically? And we can build that. And a lot of times those logistical management systems are not quite as high ticket as some of the applications that we've built, right? They're a little bit more manageable from an investment perspective. There's multiple reasons for that, but those are some of the things that we're doing over here. And Jordan mentioned AI. AI is obviously the buzzword right now. It is definitely it is the future to one degree or another, whatever that future kind of looks like. But as far as AI goes, yeah, we do that too. I mean, at the end of the day, our development team is extremely strong, and the breadth and the depth that we have of talent in different platforming languages, in different just different capacities, even down to IoT, and blockchain and things of that nature. Like there's a lot of like interesting things that are sort of outside like the sort of the realm of standard technology that we're able to do. And man, if you have an idea, the point is that the sky is the limit in terms of what we are able to serve you in. And yeah, so all of these things are really, really great reasons to come work with Divine Digital, right? At the end of the day, if you're looking for a software developer, we're your guys. But I think maybe like the thing that we hear the most from our customers in terms of why they want to work with us is that we're really cool. We're just cool guys.
We kind of are. I mean, as much as you're joking about that, and listen, we've all worked other places, right? I'm the oldest guy in the company. Ouch. And I can comfortably say, I've never worked at another organization where clients routinely, like as default, have just raving experiences. Like we say, we have a couple internal buzzwords that I love, and phrases that I love using. Here's why I love using them, because they come true. One of the things that we say is we're looking to exceed your expectations. And that can be a dangerous thing to say as a guy in sales if you can't pull it off, right? But and you guys have even talked about this at times. There's times where I border on arrogance when it comes to our capability as a company, but that doesn't come from nowhere. Like the guys that we have on our team that actually do the coding, phenomenal, not good, phenomenal. Our designers, like everybody that will touch a project, like man, that's they are the product of years of experience. They're the product of us scouring the earth to find the best folks that we can. And to say this bluntly, anybody that works with us from this point on, the amount of value that they get, the amount of experience, the amount of, every company makes mistakes. We've been doing this long enough now where our mistakes, were obviously front loaded, that they get to experience all of the things we learned from our early mistakes. They get to experience all of the developers, the designers, the UI, UX guys who've made it to kind of the cream of the crop. And that's who we operate with now, right? We operate with the best folks that we have found put together that team over the course of years and years. So I am able to say, like, we're going to blow your socks off. Like, just wait. Just wait until you experience what the process is. And again, you guys know this. You're here with me. That is the default experience once somebody actually starts working with us. There's almost a breath of relief because, they get it. Oh, okay. Like, one, I'm not alone in this. Two, hey, these guys really do know what they're talking about. Of course, they said that a bunch. But once we get a chance to sort of expose that, man, it's off to the races. It is.
Yeah, and I think the big point of emphasis is we're fun to work with because we really enjoy what we do,
You gotta
and
smile when you say
we
that,
also
too.
we also deliver upon. Right, it's not fun to not be delivered upon what you're promised.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
so that's fun along the way. Right, when not only are we, from Alex from the project management side of things to Paola to Vishwa and Juliar's on the BA side of things, all of our team members really pour, like you said, right, their experience into it, and like I said, they take ownership of it to really nurture the product and have a lot of fun doing it. And that's exemplified, in the assets that we deliver from, everything from a Figma wireframe lo-fi to, the final development. So that really also just kind of like capitalizes an exclamation point on it. And yes, are we, fun to jump on a meeting with? Of course, we're gonna make it fun along the way. But the quality of work really speaks for itself, and the delivery on, again, what we're promising here.
Yeah, not to be cheesy, but to add a practical. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna be cheesy. I don't care.
Be cheesy. Go ahead.
Okay, well, you said it. To add a practical side to like where it's like fun and enjoyable and we're the right guys, you can't argue with this next statement. If you enjoy what you're doing, you will do it better. Period. That works on our side. Like if we enjoy our work, which we do, like we talk about this stuff, we think about it, we plan, we ideate, we do all these things about your concept. Sometimes with you, sometimes as we're kind of planning and doing work in the end. But on the other side, when we are on meetings, man, we're the best job on earth. We get to help individuals who are starting a business or, like you mentioned, Joe, integrating a large chunk of software into their current business. We get to be part of building that. Like this doesn't exist until we build it. We're not doing the same thing every day. We're new concepts, new people. We're solving problems dynamically with our clients. Like that's what it looks like. We're in the mix, man, with our clients. We are in the trenches with them. We root for them. We take the losses like they do. We push them forward. We strategize. Like again, this is super cheesy, but we care. Like we really actually do care.
I'm going to get my mom to stitch that into a nice pillow.
Live, laugh, love.
That's funny. No, good stuff, guys. I think we made our point, but just in case people doubt how fun we are, I have a couple of quick tech jokes.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. So here we go.
Oh no.
So first one is, what kind of computer sings the best?
Oh god, I don't know. Give me a second.
Adele.
You would have given me time. I would have got that.
All right. Here's another one. Why did the developer become so poor? Because he cleared his cache.
I'm sorry. I'm going to give that a solid 3 out of 10. I'm sorry. 3 out of 10.
I want to actually make one more.
Let's see. We're going to do. Oh, this one's so dumb. Oh my gosh. All right. What was the spider doing on the computer? He was making
Searching the web
site. Yeah, that would work too.
Our jokes are way better.
Oh man, I was gonna say, I promise our real life jokes are probably better than that. Yeah. So anyway, hey, thank you for listening. And as we said, if you have a concept that you would like to see turned into technology, we are your guys. We are, I will tell you, we're not the cheapest outfit, but I can also tell you that we are probably the easiest to get in with and the easiest, the lowest barrier to entry from a cost perspective because of our process. You may have an idea that you want to get fleshed out and built into a prototype so that you can then raise funding. we have an option for that where you're not completely, breaking the bank. But we encourage you to explore those ideas. You can reach out to Dave directly, David at divinedigitalagency.com. And we'd just love to hear about what you have going on and see if you could be a good fit to work with us. So we will be back next week with some more content that'll be probably a little less pitchy and a little more conversational. But we did want the opportunity to kind of share with everybody, give you an opportunity to kind of see like the faces of Divine Digital. And granted, these three faces that you see are not the only faces. We have a broad team. Man, we will have some of them on as guests over the course of the next handful of months. But for the time being, we want to introduce you to the sort of the core team. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.